Plato was a renowned ancient Greek philosopher from 1428 BC to 347 BC. He was a loyal student of Socrates and later a mentor to Aristotle. His influence over Western philosophy is noteworthy. Plato's writing style was mainly dialectic. The majority of his philosophical texts were expressed in a dialogue form. For many of you, this may come as a surprise, but Plato was a nickname assigned to him by his wrestling coach due to his broad physique. Aristocles was the real name of Plato according to Alexander of Miletus. The ideologies and philosophies innovated by Plato inspired generations to come. Let's divulge into the journey of him becoming a philosopher. There hasn't been concrete evidence regarding Plato's exact birthplace and time. Also, limited information is provided concerning his education. According to ancient sources, most scholars were of the opinion that Plato's birthplace was either Athens or Aegina, and the date of birth was between 428 and 423 BC. Plato came from an aristocratic and influential background. His father Ariston descended from the king of Athens, Codrus, Messenia, and Melanthus. His mother, Perictione, had proud familial ties to Solon, a renowned Athenian lawmaker and lyric poet. Additionally, Perictione was related to Charmides and Critias, prominent figures in the oligarchic regime known as the 30 Tyrants. It is definite that Plato took after a noble lineage. There have been mentions of his siblings Eidaimantus and Glaucon in the Republic, along with their sister Poton. It is through references like the Republic which give insight into his family tree. There has been some speculation surrounding Plato's travel experiences. It is possible that he may have traveled to Italy, Sicily, Egypt, and Cyrene. Soon after his travel expeditions, Plato founded the Academy at the age of 40 in the year 387 BC. This institution played a major role in shaping the future of philosophy and budding philosophers. The Academy was constructed on a plot of land in the grove of Hecademus, which was named after Academus. Academus was an Attic hero in Greek mythology. Plato's Academy was considered the earliest institution of higher education in Western philosophy, and it was an alma mater to some of the most influential philosophers in Western philosophy, namely Aristotle, Heraclides, Eudoxus, Philip of Opus, and Crantor. The Academy was open to everyone and anyone that wished to seek guidance, but the main members were those that belonged to the higher strata of society. Plato's Academy was unconventional in terms of its system of management. There was no designations assigned to the educators as well as the educatees. And unlike most schools, there were no fees levied on the members, at least not during Plato's time. The system followed by the Academy was rather flexible, yet well organized. The educators were designed as junior and senior members. Plato's Academy was supervised by highly intellectual members over the course of 200 years. For a better understanding of the successors who efficiently managed the workings of the institution, the history of the Academy was divided by Diogenes Laertius. The history of the Academy was divided into three: the Old Academy, the Middle Academy, and the New Academy. The Old Academy was run by Plato along with several scholars, namely Speusippus, Xenocrates, Polemon, and Crates. Additional notable members of the Academy included Aristotle, Heraclides, Eudoxus, Philip of Opus, and Crantor. At the time that Plato headed the institution, a specific curriculum was not pursued. Rather, problems were presented by Plato and his associates that were to be resolved by the educatees. Evidence suggests that lectures were delivered by Plato on the good, which is mentioned in the Republic. Exploring the concept of the good is the ideal source of truth and the form that all other forms derive from. The most common method of training adopted was the dialectic method. It's almost certain that mathematics as well as philosophical topics present in the Platonic dialogues were taught, but there is scarce reliable evidence. Plato's Academy was recognized as a school for potential politicians in the ancient world and of illustrious alumni. There isn't a detailed description of the workings and training of the Middle Academy and New Academy. Only information related to who headed them is known. Arcesilaus of Pitane was appointed as the scholarch of the Academy in Athens around 266 BC. Under his leadership, the Academy embraced a form of skepticism known as academic skepticism, which had similarities to Pyrrhonism, a school of skepticism founded by Pyrrho of Elis. The New or Third Academy was headed by Carneades, who became the fourth scholarch after Arcesilaus in 155 BC. This phase of the Academy mainly maintained a skeptical stance, denying the possibility of attaining absolute truth. Carneades was succeeded by Clitomachus, and Philo of Larissa, who is considered the final acknowledged head of the Academy, assisting from around 110 to 84 BC. Philo is believed to be the last Platonist with a direct connection to the physical location of the Academy. Around 90 BC, Antiochus of Ascalon, a student of Philo, introduced his own interpretation of Platonism that rejected skepticism and instead advocated Stoicism. This marked the beginning of a new phase, known as Middle Platonism. It can be positively concluded that Plato's Academy created a long-lasting impact through its course, until an unfortunate incident that led to the fall of the Academy. Philo of Larissa fled Athens and sought safety in Rome when the First Mithridatic War broke out in 88 BC. He appears to have lived in Rome until his demise. Lucius Cornelius Sulla besieged Athens in 86 BC and eventually took control of it, demolishing most of the city in the process. He destroyed the Academy, the area of the city with the most trees, as well as the Lyceum during the siege, according to Plutarch. He laid his hands upon the sacred groves and ravaged the Academy, which was the most wooded of the city's suburbs. The Academy was dismantled beyond repair, which made the reconstruction almost impractical. In 84 BC, Antiochus returned to Athens from Alexandria, recommencing his teaching but not in the Academy. Antiochus's pupil, Cicero, studied under him in 79 BC and recollects being taught in a gymnasium called Ptolemy. One afternoon, Cicero decided to visit the site of the Academy, which in his description was quiet and deserted at that hour of the day. It is a well-known fact that Socrates had a significant influence on Plato. Aside from Socrates, several intellectual men played a part in forging the life-changing ideas surrounding politics or culture that Plato documented in his works. It was more so their theories or discussions that influenced Plato's own philosophical works. As it is popularly known that Socrates did not record his thoughts through any writings, but Plato did. He featured his teacher as the main character in his dialogues, except the laws. The laws focused on the establishment of an impartial and ordered society. Plato did not express his thoughts or beliefs, which has led to some scholars question whether Plato's portrayal of Socrates represents his own beliefs or is a literary device. Other sources, such as Xenophon's Memorabilia and Aristophanes' The Clouds, present different perspectives on Socrates. Aristotle also attributes distinct ideas about forms to Socrates and Plato. This relationship between Plato and Socrates remains a matter of discord among scholars. Plato's teachings were greatly influenced by Pythagoras, and by extension the Pythagoreans who were believers in him and the philosophy he preached. Aristotle and Cicero affirm Plato's philosophy is closely related to the teachings of the Pythagoreans. According to R. M. Hare, these teachings entail 3 points. Number 1, the Platonic Republic might be associated with the concept of a tightly organized community of like-minded thinkers, similar to the one established by Pythagoras in Croton. Number 2, the objective is that mathematics and abstract thinking build an essential basis for philosophical thought, as well as for substantial theses in science and morals. Number 3, they mutually believed in a mystical approach to the soul and its place in the material world. Pythagoras maintained that everything could be accounted for and that the cosmos derived from numerical principles. He introduced some groundbreaking concepts such as form being distinct from matter and the physical world being a replica of an eternal mathematical world. These ideas certainly sparked inspiration in Heraclitus, Parmenides, and Plato. Heraclitus and Parmenides are 2 prominent philosophers who departed from mythological explanations of the universe and laid the foundations for metaphysical inquiry. They were influenced by earlier Greek philosophers like Pythagoras and Xenophanes. Heraclitus believed that change is inevitable and that it is unimaginable to experience the same thing twice. He viewed existence as a balance of opposing forces. Plato, who received these ideas through Heraclitus' disciple Cratylus, was deeply influenced by this perspective. On the other hand, Parmenides argued for a universe that is constant and eternal, considering change to be an illusion. Plato engaged with these contrasting views in his dialogues, particularly in the Parmenides dialogue where he critically examines metaphysical theories. The concept of change and permanence, or becoming and being, influenced Plato's formulation of the theory of forms. Plato's philosophy was certainly a combination of the contribution of several renowned intellectuals. Each topic or theory was contemplated by Plato in order to generate information. Plato's philosophical ideas were shaped by the influences of various intellectual figures. While Socrates played a significant role in Plato's thinking, it is important to note that Plato represented Socrates as the main character in his dialogues, except for the laws. This has led to debates among scholars about whether Plato's portrayal of Socrates represents his own beliefs or serves as a literary device. Plato's philosophy was a culmination of the contributions made by several renowned intellectuals. He contemplated various topics and theories in order to generate a comprehensive understanding of the world. By integrating the ideas of Socrates, Pythagoras, Heraclitus, and Parmenides, Plato developed a unique and influential philosophical system that continues to shape philosophical thought to this day. Plato's works are considered significant and continue to be relevant due to their exploration of various important concepts. The dialogical format used by Plato enhances precision and clarity in conveying his ideas. Among his notable works, the Republic and the Apology stand out, shedding light on crucial topics. In the Republic, Plato documents the discussions between Socrates and other participants, delving into the nature of justice, the role of individuals within a state, and the qualities of an ideal ruler. Plato introduces the concept of philosopher kings, individuals who possess extensive knowledge and wisdom to govern a state. The Republic covers diverse subjects, including the nature of reality, education, the theory of forms, and the allegory of the cave, all of which directly relate to the reasoning behind the idea of philosopher kings governing the state. Plato argues that their knowledge of the forms enables them to perceive the true essence of justice, beauty, and other virtues, guiding their decision-making. Plato believes that philosophers possess a unique ability to discern what is just and act accordingly, forming the basis for his exploration of justice, political philosophy, and the ideal state. The Apology derives its name from the Greek word apologia, meaning a defense or justification of one's beliefs or actions. It revolves around Socrates' trial and his justifications, which uphold his commitment to truth and intellectual integrity. Plato's aim with the Apology is to convey the unwavering dedication to the pursuit of wisdom. It serves as a tribute to Socrates, whom Plato deeply admired and who inspired his philosophical ideals. Furthermore, Plato utilizes the Apology to express his own philosophical viewpoints and convictions, aligning with Socrates' belief that the fundamental purpose of human life is to seek wisdom and truth. Plato emphasizes the value of philosophical inquiry and its potential to influence individuals and society, portraying Socrates as a martyr for philosophy. Plato dedicated a significant portion of his life to understanding and developing concepts in areas such as metaphysics, the theory of forms, the theory of the soul, the allegory of caves, and other groundbreaking ideas. Let us delve into each of these concepts to expand our understanding of life as explored by Plato. A metaphorical tale, Plato's allegory of the cave, is included in Book 7 of his work, The Republic. The allegory serves as a potent exposition of Plato's theory on reality, knowledge, and the soul's journey. In the allegory, Plato depicts a group of people who have been imprisoned with their legs and necks chained so that they can only see the wall in front of them. Behind them is a fire, where puppeteers operate items that cast shadows on the cave wall between the fire. The prisoners perceive these shadows as the only reality they have ever known. According to Plato, prisoners represent ordinary people who are oblivious to the fundamental essence of reality. They are fascinated by illusions and misunderstand the shadows for the ultimate truth. Plato envisions one of the prisoners being freed to confront the objects that cast the shadows. This phase represents the absorption of knowledge and encounters with the material world. As the freed prisoner is exposed to the brilliance of the sun, this stage symbolizes the true nature of reality that is acknowledged by the prisoner. Upon this realization, the freed prisoner shares this newfound knowledge with the other prisoners that are back in the cave. Upon enlightening the prisoners about his experience, he is humiliated and dejected by the other prisoners, who only accept the shadow as their reality. This rejection represents the narrow-mindedness of society towards the enlightening attempts of the philosopher. The journey of the philosopher and the search for knowledge are metaphorically represented by the cave allegory. In Plato's belief, there exists a reality beyond the sensory world, and the challenges faced by those who seek to understand and communicate that truth to others. In the end, the metaphor emphasizes the significance of pursuing wisdom and truth, which is a driving force for philosophical enlightenment. In his investigations of metaphysics, Plato questions the nature of existence and reality. According to his theory of forms, the underlying reality that encompasses the physical world consists of unchanging, ideal forms or ideas. This theory challenges our perception of what is ultimately real and prompts inquiries into the nature of knowledge and truth. Plato's theory of forms suggests that the material world we perceive is a mere reflection or imperfect copy of the ideal and eternal forms. These forms represent the essence or ideal of various concepts, including fairness, beauty, and truth. This theory raises inquiries about the workings of ideas and their relationship with the physical world. The nature of the human soul and its connection to ethics and morality are examined through Plato's concept of the soul. He proposes a three-part theory of the soul, encompassing reason, spirit, and desire. Plato asserts that achieving inner harmony through the pursuit of knowledge and cultivation of moral qualities is the ultimate goal of existence. Plato's works delve into the realm of epistemology, the study of knowledge. Within Socrates' dialogues, Plato challenges commonly held institutions about what can be known and what constitutes reality. Socrates puts forth the argument that those who rely solely on their senses are unable to access true reality, suggesting that those who see with their eyes are, in fact, blind. This challenges the notion that sense objects represent the ultimate truth, shedding light on the limitations of sensory perception. Plato's exploration of epistemology has had a profound impact on the development of this field of inquiry. His critique of the definition of justified true belief and his recognition of the cyclical nature of knowledge continue to shape subsequent philosophical discourse. Plato's works encompass a wide range of philosophical ideas, providing deep insights into metaphysics, ethics, and epistemology. It is common to compare Plato's philosophy to that of his most well-known pupil, Aristotle, whose fame during the Western Middle Ages completely eclipsed that of Plato and led the scholastic philosophers to refer to Aristotle as the philosopher. Up until translations were produced after the fall of Constantinople in 1453, Timaeus was the only Platonic work that was known to Western scholarship. But Plato was still studied in the Byzantine Empire, in the Caliphates during the Golden Age of Islam, and in Spain during the Golden Age of Jewish culture. During the early Islamic period, Persian, Arab, and Jewish scholars wrote commentaries and interpretations of the works of Plato, Aristotle, and other Platonic philosophers, as well as translated large portions of Plato into Arabic. In his The Guide for the Perplexed, Jewish philosopher and Talmudic expert Maimonides also makes reference to Plato. These Plato commentaries, many of which were translated from Arabic into Latin, had an impact on medieval scholastic philosophers. Plato's original writings were transported from Constantinople to Florence during the Renaissance by George Gemistos Plethon, with the encouragement of the Plato-inspired Lorenzo, grandson of Cosimo. Many of the greatest early modern scientists and artists who rebelled against scholasticism saw Plato's philosophy as the cornerstone of advancement in the humanities. The Cambridge Platonists of the 17th century attempted to meld Christianity with some of Plato's more dubious ideas, like metempsychosis and polyandry. By the 19th century, Plato's standing had improved and was at least on par with that of Aristotle. The sciences and mathematics have been particularly influenced by Plato. Some of the most significant developments in logic since Aristotle were further inspired by Plato's revival, primarily through Gottlob Frege. According to Albert Einstein, a scientist who takes philosophy seriously must avoid systemization, assume many different personas, and may even appear as a Platonist or Pythagorean, because they will have the viewpoint of logical simplicity as an indispensable and effective tool of his research. Plato had a strong influence on generations after him, via intellectually challenging works. All of his philosophies laid a foundation in the field of metaphysics, epistemology, politics, and bigger abstract concepts of humans and life. A phrase by Plato certainly summarizes his dedication to education. The direction in which education starts a man will determine his future in life.